Welcome to Center Stage. My name is Mark Gordon. On this program, we're going to look at Covenant House, California, with Melanie Merians, Chief Development and Communications Officer. Covenant House, California is a nonprofit agency whose mission is to reach out to at-risk homeless youth living on the streets and offer them hope and opportunities to turn their lives around. Tell me about some of the causes of homelessness and some of the children that you encounter.
Yeah. You know, honestly, there's so many causes for homelessness, but I think the three main causes right now in Southern California are the runaway population. 1 out of every 4 runaways in the United States comes to Southern California. And they run away usually because they've been abused in some way, either emotionally or physically or sexually. And so they come to Southern California. Very often they're in Hollywood, which is why we have our facility in Hollywood and in Oakland. Those two cities tend to have the largest population. So we have the runaway population from across the United States, actually across the world. We have youth from different countries as well. They hope to get a job in the entertainment industry, the music industry, and they think it's warm and sunny, and they have this idealized version of Hollywood that's been, promoted through the media and movies and whatnot. So they come looking, with a dream, and they come with hope, and the reality is very, very stark and very different. We also have, unfortunately, the foster care system in the United States, especially in California, is definitely a broken system in many ways. And once a child turns 18 years old, they're literally put on the street with a handshake and a certificate saying that they're an adult now and they're on their own. So they can be in the middle of high school or anything else. They're just put on the street. So, of course, these are kids very often who've bounced around foster home to foster home. So they have no real infrastructure for emotional support. They have no job skills. They have no real education. So it's a matter of days or weeks before they become homeless. And then we have, unfortunately, what we call throwaway kids, where the parents actually send their kids away. Recently we had a young man who shared that, when he was 13, his mom put him on a bus from Texas with, $50 and said, you're going to go to Los Angeles and, try to find someone there who can take care of you. So these kinds of stories are what we hear all the time. And, the reality is once youth are on the streets and they're trying to survive, they are so traumatized, just the survival. So they often end up trading sex for protection, quote unquote, so they become trafficked, and then it's really a downward spiral. They'll start taking drugs just to keep walking all night so that they're not, attacked physically or raped. So, there's so many different, problems and challenges involved. But the great news is if Covenant House California or some of the other service providers can really reach these youth, they're very resilient, and they will, we can give them the tools and what they need to become independent and self-sufficient and contributive, members of society. They won't become the chronically homeless. The great irony, of course, is that we have such power and wealth in a place called Hollywood, and we also have such poverty and abuse and neglect and all of these other social ills that contribute to youth homelessness, and it is a crisis.
I was reading here that is it true 150,000 homeless youth?
There's probably more than that. There's an estimated 1 to 3 million youth that are runaways, just runaways in the United States. In Los Angeles, on any night of the year, there are over 4,000 kids that don't have a place to sleep. And sometimes we find youth that when we go out at night, we have vans. Covenant House California provides, vans, and we go out on the streets looking for the kids, it is a truly remarkable experience to go out and witness it for yourself. And you see it's very challenging because many of these kids are under the radar screen. So, they're not really there. You can't really tell, is that a kid with a backpack or is that a homeless youth? You don't really know for sure. But when that van pulls up and you see 15 kids run out of a doorway and ask for a sandwich, you see the reality. It's a very, very stark reality. So we Covenant House California, and there are others, others, but we're the only one providing these services just for this age group, which is a very tender age. As you know, it's that kind of cusp between youth, childhood and adulthood. And we serve, many of our youth, have been exploited or they've been trafficked. So to get them just to trust the outreach workers, to get them to trust an adult and come in and get shelter and get support, even that can take months sometimes, just to build up that level of trust.
What are some of the success stories that you've seen?
Yeah.
Tell me, do you have any examples?
Unbelievable success stories. Covenant House California has, as I mentioned before, a educational component so that youth can work on getting a GED or, attending even, college or junior college or trade school while they're living, at the residence, at the facility. And, so what we try to do is engage them to get that educational component, so that at the same time they develop more confidence, in themselves, and they can somewhat compete in the job market. These days, the job market is so tough. They are competing just for entry-level jobs against, kids that are coming out from college, and even older people, very experienced people who have been, frankly, downsized in the workforce and whatnot. So it's a challenging time, without a doubt. But we, really focus on helping them get education and also jobs, and helping them keep the jobs, and give them the support they need to keep working. So, for example, there's remarkable experiences like this young woman named Connie Chung, not the newscaster. She's actually from a North Korean family, and her family managed to escape North Korea, and they made their way to Koreatown here in Los Angeles. And, after a couple of years here, she learned English very quickly in the school systems, but her parents were both working like 2 and 3 jobs. And then she had a younger sibling who was extremely handicapped. So they were basically working just to keep this younger sibling, alive, basically, and get the help that they needed. And so they told her at one point, kind of, you're on your own. And so she became homeless, and she made her way to Covenant House, California. Very bright young woman. She was only there for maybe 7 months, 6, 7 months. But then last year, I think our Connies House California received a letter from her, and she said, I really want to try to give back because I was in Covenant House, California. You helped me stabilize. I applied for schools. I was accepted into Berkeley on a full scholarship. From Berkeley, she went to Harvard, got her, her master's at Harvard. Now she's working on a PhD program at Harvard, and of course she's studying, the impact on young adults of, homelessness and many of the problems we're talking about. So she's remarkable. But honestly, there's, a young man, Eduardo, that I met recently, and for him, he was able to get his GED. He applied for a job at Target. Was able to keep a job at Target. He has his own car now. He has his own apartment. His victory is just as important as Connie's victory.
Right.
The point is that each one of these youth, just need a chance to turn their lives around, and we can't ignore them.
If somebody wants to get involved with Covenant House California, what's the contact number and the web address or whatever?
It's very easy. It's covenanthousecalifornia.org. That's our web address. But you have to have the California, otherwise you go to the national headquarters in New York. But if you want to get involved and support our programs or services, we desperately need funding, to be perfectly honest. And, we're out there, serving over 150,000 meals a year and, 40,000 nights of care. And there's just so much that we need. There's almost nothing we don't need to support, these young lives. So if they could just go to the website, all the information is on the website, how to make a contribution, how to volunteer, the phone number, everything is right there. So it's just www.covenanthousecalifornia.org.
Just a reminder, you can hear Center Stage live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on KXLU Los Angeles 88.9 FM. We're also streaming on the internet at kxlu.com. Until next time, this is Mark Gordon, and I'll see you center stage.